So, what do judges think about instability in a parent's life, in a child's life? That is our topic for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer as cases are fact dependent. Hey everyone, this is Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, arbitrator. Welcome back to the LMI podcast. And with me again is my colleague, Dannielle Simms. Dannielle, welcome back.
Hi, guys.
All right, so we're going to talk today about stability. It's something that we hear a lot about. People call us to talk to us about a parent being stable or unstable and how that might impact a child's life and what that might mean for their case. But first, let's get to know who Dannielle Simms is. So Dannielle, tell us about yourself.
Hi, guys. I am a family law attorney here in Harris County, Texas. I practice in Harris County, Galveston County, Brazoria County, Montgomery County. I am here in Texas practicing family law. That's what I do exclusively. Family law includes divorce, includes custody, includes child support. It also includes a large amount of my practice that is dedicated to CPS defense, otherwise known as litigation regarding the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I spend a lot of time representing parents going through those type of issues, from investigations all the way through actual litigation. I also represent interveners in those situations. That would be foster parents or, family. I do a myriad of work within DFPS, but I'm a family law lawyer and I've been doing it for quite some time now.
All right, so this topic of stability, it's coming up to the fore and for discussion because it's a question we get quite a bit.
Right.
You might hear somebody say something like, well, I'm the more stable parent and the other parent is unstable. And that instability is going to cause certain problems for the child's life. And so when we're in court, a lot of times we're arguing over whether or not somebody is unstable or whether or not it's negatively impacting a child. And this might then play a role when we're talking about custody cases. It might affect the divorce lawsuit and the outcomes of it and where the child lives, who pays child support. So this question of stability is very, very important. So Dannielle, talk to us. What do judges think about when they think about the word stability? Is it the same thing that regular people think, or what are your thoughts?
Well, here's the reality. You can't ever really predict what a judge will do, but I can say that for the general public who call me and say the other party is unstable, they are not necessarily thinking from the lens of a bench. They're not thinking from the lens of a judge, because we have so many people that come in and tell the court, Bob or Sally are unstable. I am the better parent. I can provide better. I can be more stable. But at the end of the day, it's what kind of factors is the judge looking at? Obviously, this will be different as it relates to each and every child and each and every fact scenario. So we can't always predict everything. But what courts are looking at is they don't like kids that are disrupted. Okay, they don't like a situation where the action of the adults in the child's life disrupts the child's life. Obviously, we try to keep these kids, and I'm going to use the word stable. I hate using the actual word to define the words, but we want to keep kids as stable as possible, right? Meaning we want to keep them enrolled in the same school if that's possible. Give them something that they are dealing with, a routine, because kids need routine. I don't care if they're 1 year old or I don't care if they're 17 years old. They need routine. We need situations where a kid is not constantly dealing with new stimulus. For example, if a parent is constantly bringing paramours in and out of the home and it's a different paramour, and every 5 months we're living with somebody new that mom or dad are in a relationship with, and those types of things, look at stability. We're also looking at the home life of the child, right? Is that child constantly moving? Now there are there are different scenarios for constant movement, right? You've got kids who, I love this term, military brats, right? Yeah. They move a lot. That doesn't necessarily mean that their parents are unstable. It doesn't necessarily mean that their parents are bad. What it means is You've got a nomadic lifestyle when it comes to those kind of things. Sometimes you have people who work expat. You have those types of situations where they've got to move, or you've got people who do contract work. That in and of itself does not make you unstable. It's a matter of, if you're moving a lot, why? Is it something that you can prevent? Is it something that's required? Is the other parent moving a lot? Can this situation of stability be resolved by just letting that child reside primarily with the parent that doesn't have to move a lot, while you still have visitation and that child is still able to thrive within their community, a la friends, school, things of that nature?
Yeah.
Then go ahead.
Well, you brought up paramours and the relationships in and out of the child's life. You brought up the home and moving around from home to home to home.
Mhm.
What about school? Because you're gonna go to that, right?
We like to keep kids stable in school, right? So if you've got a kid who's been enrolled in 5 months in 8 different schools, a court is going to look at that. And obviously they're going to look at why, because things happen. But a judge is going to want to know that we are not just moving this kid and bouncing him around from school to school for no reason. Obviously, my legal term when people say that is, are they doing it willy-nilly? Like, is there an actual basis on which that child needs to move? And then if I've got a parent who historically this parent has moved a lot, and you knew that when you came up with the order, I have to look at them and go, well, that's something that was considered before. What changed now? Right. So, yeah, we want kids to have friends. We want kids to be able to socialize, and we don't want that to be impacted by the actions of the parent if it can be helped.
Exactly. So school, home, relationships. There's another type of instability that I hear a lot about, but I wonder what your thoughts are. And that is what people would consider to be financial stability, where one parent might say, well, you know what? I'm the more stable parent when it comes to money and finances, and I can provide for the child a certain way. And the other parent is unstable. What are your thoughts about when you hear that phrase, financial stability, and what do you think judges think about financial instability?
Well, the first thing I think is, when you are saying financial stability, I sure hope you're not coming in and saying, I make more money than the other parent, because that in and of itself is not going to be enough. It's got to be, if that other person is financially unstable, how is that impacting their housing ability, right? How is that impacting their ability to put food on the table? Things of that nature. But also, don't forget, we have in Texas child support. Right. And while there are guidelines, there is nothing that stops someone from filing a counter petition or an action saying, well, then let's deviate from guideline. If you've already acknowledged that I have an inability to provide for basic needs and you have the ability to do it, can you do it through a child support obligation? Right. Because I think what people don't remember a lot is that just because you have more money and the other parent does not mean that each house has to be equal. You have to be able to feed that kid, clothe that kid, and potentially put a roof over that child's head. That can look like a myriad of things. That can even, and I'm being extreme here, but that can look like a shelter. You've got situations like that. And so, while financial instability is something that a court can consider, they're going to look at the why, they're going to look at how does it impact the child, and then they're going to look at what can we do to resolve that financial instability that doesn't have to result in a change in conservatorship, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, one thing that I brought up to some clients' attention is that we have this concept in the law called not criminalizing poverty, that just because someone does not make as much money as you do does not mean they're necessarily a bad parent. There are plenty of children who have been brought up with means that are not as much as their neighbors, but those kids turn out just fine. So it's always going to come back to what's in the child's best interest. Okay, those factors we talked about in some other videos. So hopefully you can check those out on the channel. But I'm just reinforcing this because it's an important thing that you're saying about, simply because you make more money than one parent does not mean it's a shoo-in that guarantees you're going to somehow get primary conservatorship.
And just to dumb that down even more, guys, just so y'all know, Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty and she's a billionaire. So everybody needs to look at those things and don't just, you are absolutely right. It's very, very clear. You cannot use poverty as a weapon against somebody. There's other factors that you've got to consider. It's got to be adverse conditions. There's a lot that goes into it.
All right, guys, that's it for now. Thank you so much, Dannielle, for this quick talk on what judges consider when they think about unstable parents and instability. Okay, guys, until next time, take care.
Bye, guys.